Welcome everybody to Red G Foxx. And today the G stands for glad you can join us and gonna give you those facts. As we are talking about fun facts on Fred Sanford. We've already done one, go previously check. One of the first ones we did, but was on the actor Red Foxx, where we covered his whole history of everything about him. A lot of interesting facts. If you haven't seen it yet, go back and watch it. But today, these ones are a little shorter because these are, there's only so many facts you can get on the character. But that's what this channel is. Like I said, we will have fun fact episode one day on the kid who, the episode called The Kid, where he went in there and Fred told him about angels tap dancing and he ate with them and stuff. We're gonna have every character because we got hundreds of episodes to do. But let's get right to it. Fred Sanford, Fred G. Sanford, his very first episode, obviously Cross Swords. Do you know his last episode ever as Fred G. Sanford? Obviously it was in the show Sanford, and that was the final episode called To Catch a Thief. In that one, it's an okay one. I felt like, maybe they were setting up to bring this kid, like he might be around for if they did a season 3, bringing in, how the 80s sitcoms love to bring in kids to help with the ratings, but it never went from there. That was the last time we ever saw Fred G. Sanford. And it was an okay episode. Him and Cal were pretty funny. Another little fact, Barry Wright was in that episode, the guy from a bunch of episodes of Sanford as a side character, Junior Joe Lewis, and he was a sheriff in that one. So another interesting fact if you had not known that already. Now in this, there's parts where when I'm looking some of this up online, a lot of this we already know from just experience and watching it. But there's parts online where I go, it said he had a brother named Jerome. Put in the comments, please, if you know what episode. I don't remember him ever saying he had a brother named Jerome. I might have just missed it. Was it a throwaway line? But they've actually websites that say he had a brother named Jerome. And he had 2 sisters, from what I understood. Because remember in the episode, The Copper Caper? The guy who's trying to sell him the copper, he comes up and says, "Hey, brother." And Fred even says, "I ain't got no brothers." And he goes, "I do have 2 sisters." So right away you go, okay, so now I picture Fred and 2 sisters. And then there's another one saying that, remember there's one episode where he said he shared a bed with 7 siblings. So it's all over the place. But what we do know is that he had a sister named Frances who went on to marry YT. Not actually YT, but it was Rodney. Hey, Rodney, where are you, Rodney? Such a good episode. Go see that one if you haven't. But anyways, so yeah, he's got his sister Frances. Now the character, this is interesting. The character was named after his late brother who died in '65. So only 7 years before the show began. But his name was Fred G. Sanford Jr. Some people, obviously if you hear the junior, you know, but a lot of people didn't know his dad was Fred G. Sanford as well. But he didn't have a great relationship. His dad left at an early age growing up. So the character was never named after his father, if you ever knew that his dad was there. It was always named after his brother, who he was close with and helped raise him and be around him his whole life. But the G actually stands for Glenn. Now they never say that in the show. They never say Fred G. Sanford, what it actually, we know all the many G's he used. Gynecologist, goo goo gaga, all these things. But it was never mentioned. But in real life, it was Glenn. So there's something you might not know about that. He appeared in 127 episodes. Remember, he was in St. Louis. So he missed 9 episodes of the series and was gone. So he actually appeared in 120 episodes. The fun part is, the ones that he was filled in for by Grady were so well done that even if the parts were written for Fred, they were kind of adjusted for Grady and made it so much more enjoyable. I really like that series, and I've always stood by that. I think Grady could have had a successful series had they actually kept the series similar to that, not take Grady and shove him in a family environment like they did. I think that was the downfall. You take the show, you take what worked with Grady, have Grady and Bubba, right, still can come on Sanford and Son, but Grady and anybody, another side character, maybe another young guy, maybe his son, a son we don't hear about, and make it similar how him and Lamont lived. That's what they should have done, and I think they would have had 2 gigantic hits on there. Anyways, back to this. 9 of them, he was in St. Louis. He was born, Fred Sanford was born on January 20th, 1907. Holy cow, that's such a long time ago. Man, over 100 years ago now, but in the 70s when this was filmed, that made sense because he was 65 on Happy Birthday Pop when that episode debuted. Foods. Let's talk about his favorite foods. Now, I actually have a clip to show what is his favorite food, but in several episodes when he goes out to eat in different restaurants, he always says, I like neck bone, black-eyed peas, candy sweet potato, and mustard greens. Now he says that, and then another one when he goes to the Chinese food, he says ham hock, lima beans. But almost every other time, he always says he goes with the neck bone, black-eyed peas. But, so that's the most common he orders. We do know Fred even says himself that you made my favorite dish. He actually says spare ribs, candy sweet potatoes, and mustard greens. I think he says mustard greens. Yeah, he does. So a lot of them, we know he really loves mustard greens. But that's the fact that he makes that and he thanks Julio. That says that is Fred's favorite meal. Whenever we can go out throughout series, you now know his favorite food. His favorite drink, we know that. Everybody knows it's Ripple, but with the Ripple, and I never had Ripple. I actually read up on it just to see in the past for the channel. But it sounds like it's really good, kind of lower quality wine made for people who, maybe couldn't afford as much. But listen to all the different ones. We know he wants to, when he's on the plane ride, mix it with champagne, and he calls it champipple. When he has sangria, he says it's pretty good. It tastes like flat Ripple, and he calls it flapple. There's so many other different ones. What's the one where, I think I had another one. Oh, when he wants cream, he says, oh, we could take the cream and Ripple and make it cripple. And then one of my favorites is Beaujolais. Beaujolais. Remember that with Rollo when he gets that wine? He's all, let's get it together and call it Beaujolipple. So he always made a good joke about anytime he wanted to mix the drinks together with Ripple. So we know that's his favorite meal. We know his favorite drinks. Now, his best insult, in my opinion, in all time, his best insult has to be when he goes to Aunt Esther, where he's like, you know what, Esther? She's all, who you calling ugly, sucker? And he's all, I'm calling you ugly. I could take your face, stick it in some dough, and make some gorilla cookies. Oh my gosh, I have heard that line 100 times, and I never get sick of it. Never. It's actually on a short on our channel. You can actually go view it. I can't believe they actually haven't copyrighted or blocked it yet. They'll probably do it after I mention it. But in the past, anytime I put stuff like that on, it gets blocked and copyrighted. But man, that is so, without a doubt, I've seen that one commented so many times on Sanford and Son channel, on our channel, where it's Gorilla Cookies, Face and Dough, Gorilla Cookies. It is, I mean, we know he's got a huge number. You big dummies, my favorite when he says to Lamont. But best insult I've ever heard him say, that the first time I heard it, none of them have ever made me laugh as much as when he said that, to where I remember seeing it going, oh my gosh, who can I talk to about this? You want to talk to someone about it. It's so good. And that's one of the reasons I made the channel, so that we could talk about it, because we love the show so much. But on there, yeah, Face, Cookie Dough, Cookie Gorillas is the best insult Fred ever drops, in my opinion. List below if you have a better insult that makes you crack up even more. I mean, we know there are so many to choose from, but please list below. Now, when we come to best friends, I gotta go Bubba. My favorite is Grady. I'll always say that, but I always try to be impartial, not to be my favorite unless I'm telling you, like the last one, my opinion, that's my favorite. What is yours? But with this, I gotta say Bubba, because Grady always helps out. Melvin helps out, but Melvin, Grady, some of their friends, I feel like they'll kind of speak their mind and they'll kind of just go the other way, and they're not gonna always do everything Fred says. Here, Fred, you got him on the ropes. Now take it and hang it. Hang yourself with them. Remember in the boxing episode where Grady's mocking him and stuff because he sits in the wet paint and messes up the whole deal? Things like that. Grady will step up, which doesn't make him a bad friend. He's just a little more blunt. While Bubba will take all the insults. He'll help Fred out when he needs to. And he's always coming back again. Even if he leaves, he's always coming back for more. And I can't think of anyone who's been insulted more than Bubba. So in my opinion, I think Bubba is without a doubt. And in real life, they were great friends. I mean, he was friends with all of them. And Bubba also, not the same character, but it's supposed to represent, actually appeared in the royal family when Red Fox passed away. He was actually in that episode as an old friend. I believe the Whitman Mayo was still alive, so you could have had Grady, but they went with Bubba because I think in real life they were the best of friends, just like on the show they were great, probably the best of friends. So that's my theory behind it. Please comment below if you think anything different. But yeah, of all of them, I think he's the best. This one, best celebrities with anything, right? What's his favorite celebrity? Well, we know his favorite musical group has to be If I didn't care for you, right? The ink spots. He does it. Do you know that actually NBC wouldn't pay for the rights to use that? And Red Fox himself used the money to pay so that he can get it and have the rights to it. So when he would perform it on the show, he was allowed to because he paid for it. That shows that was his real life love that translated into the show. The ink spots, and every time I hear it, when he would shake his hand. Remember when I think he's hypnotized and then he's like this? And he's all, this be true. I love Red Fox, and I love Fred Sanford, and I love when he sings and performs anytime in the show. But the ink spots, we'll get back to the ink spots on why they're significant compared to the rest. I don't even know when they actually, someone had to be still around in the group to anyways, his favorite athlete was George Foreman. Yes, remember he says, when Lamont's going to be in a play with him, and he's like, you're in a play with my idol, George Foreman? Son, why are you lying to me? And then he goes on it, and he's with them. And so he gets to meet George Foreman, which is great. How many of us get to meet our actual idols? You know, that's so rare you ever get to do. Your favorite athlete, your favorite performer. So he gets to meet his favorite athlete. Then we know the love of his life. Son, don't joke about the horn. Don't ever mess about the horn. Lena Horne, and he gets to meet Lena Horne. How crazy is that? In the episode of NBC Studios, and he gets her to come out. Are you for real? Is this for real? And then she kisses him. Wait, Lena, here's my money. Lamont tries to get it, and then they chase her. Oh, my gosh. So Fred got a kiss from Lena Horne. He got to hang out and direct George Foreman. And then don't forget, not to be outdone, was there another one I missed? I don't want to see it. He's got that. He never gets the George Foreman. Della Reese. Remember, he really liked Della Reese, and he couldn't believe Della Reese was on there, and he got to meet Della Reese, who he went on later on in the Royal Family to perform with. And he was also in Harlem Nights together with her. But he got to meet Della Reese, another celebrity that he really liked, not as much as the Horn or George Foreman. And then, of course, who do you think his number one is? I always used to think Lena Horne and possibly George Foreman. We know who the number one is. You got to put it in the comments. Red Fox! He wanted to meet Red Fox. Of course, man, he looks just like me. And Lamont saw, well, if he saw all these great things, you don't have any reason to try the lookout contest. You don't look anything like him. And of course, we know obviously how funny that is. But he gets to meet Red Fox. So, man, it's so cool when you get to go out and actually meet all your people. So Red Fox, we see all his favorite singer, performer, actor, athlete, and he got to meet all of them except for the ink spots. That would have been cool. I don't know if they passed away. They gotta still been, some of them, alive. I don't know the history on when they passed away, but that would have been so cool if he could have had at least one member, if they were around, to be on the episode where Fred could have performed with them or something, right? Like he did with Smiley Rogers or anybody else, Bowlegs. So those are his favorite celebrities, and he got to perform and meet all of them. Now we'll get to my personal opinion with top moments of Fred Sanford. No, now in no particular order, right? I mean, when I was thinking this, I'm like, how could you? How could you really narrow it down? I've made a top 10 list before on our DSC and Family channel. You can go check that out. It was my thoughts as well as everything we voted, right? As we are voting now for number 1 episode, season 1. We did that. So the list was basically popular choice as well as a little bit of my opinion, but I let the majority rule on that. And it's still even hard then, but I can see why people like number 1, you know, Mama's Baby, Papa's Maybe. Why Legal Eagle? Why Superflyer was number 5? Things like that. I would have had Superflyer higher. Anyways, but with that, it's like, how do you choose his best moments? To me, I just look at moments where it's so memorable, and it's a whole like good 5 to 10 minutes, and it's just something to where instantly when you think of that character, that moment pops up. And I know Legal Eagle, to me it's not, because that's part of the courtroom, that's Lamont, that's his buddies. It wasn't so much Fred Sanford. So Superflyer was one of the ones I had because it's him. Lamont's there and you feel so embarrassed for Lamont. We just watched it live on our live show. You can still go watch it and check it out and watch it on your own and still react with it. But we did that, everything in there with his heart attack, with his saying, hey, put that cigarette out, and not you, Moose. And he's got the chicken wings, and he goes, you know, I want neck bones, and he orders the same meal we just talked about. So all those different things, it's so good. When he gets on that plane, I don't want to get off the plane. I want to see more with everything, and meeting Jackie and all sorts of things on there. I want an oxygen mask, and I want to, we've seen before how funny it is when he gets to something and he repeats it over and over again. And yeah, so with that, Super Flyer has to be one of the best. Another great performance was Card Sharps. In Card Sharps, we know he is there. Throw him in, Joe. Whatever you do, throw him in, Joe. And he's got the fly swatter. And I love the best is when he leaves and then he calls and he's all, dummy. After he calls, leaves a message, then Lamont hangs up and he calls again, dummy. Because Fred knows what's going on. That's a great scene where he controls the action. I know everyone else is there, the Card Sharps, Ugly Matthew's son, Hucklebuck. I love saying Hucklebuck. But all of them in there, he still controls that moment, and that is so memorable. Card Sharps on our other channel was voted the best of season 2, and I expect it to be as well on our channel when we eventually get to that in a couple months. But yeah, that Card Sharps. Donna pops a question. Now, when I think of Donna pops a question, I don't think of humor. I think it's one of Red Fox's and Fred Sanford best performance ever, because it's the only time in show history where we actually see real sadness, not the Elizabeth, I'm coming. You know, he gets sad, like, you know, I'm sorry, when he has the birthday present, the watch he gave to Lamont. He's like, I'm sorry, why did Cinderella tell you that? When he's talking about Grady. He's sad, but you can see it's just kind of like a little pouty sad, or he feels bad. We actually see emotion of tears, of him really talking to Elizabeth, and it feels so heartfelt and legit that I'm like, wow, this is Red Foxx acting. This isn't just some stupid moment. And it's so memorable. I've never forgotten it. Whenever I think about Sanford and Son, it's always in my personal list of probably top 5 to 6 moments where I'm like, man, I love that. I love that scene. I love the emotion he has. And you can feel it, how much he loves her. And he doesn't want to marry, but he doesn't want to lose Donna, and he really loves her. And so anyways, I talked enough. But that's a great performance. And then I couldn't leave this out, and because it's one of my favorite episodes, and that is the director, which we talked about with George Foreman. I think when we do our Saturday live show, I don't know if it'll be this week, maybe it won't even be Saturday, because I want more people who are part of our channel to be involved. We'll put a day out there. I think we're going to do this one, the director. That is so good when Fred takes over as director. That poor other guy director, he just keeps interrupting him. It's so great how Fred's constantly, a couple times, he's laughing legit. He's trying to hold it in. He can't even hold it in. And when he tells Lamont, he shaves his head and he comes in there, he's directing. But when he does the whole Lamont scene where he's like, shipping off to Oxford, Brother Mavi. And he does all he wants him to be like Alec Guinness. That has got to be one of the greatest scenes in Sanford and Son history. Seeing Lamont go, it's just not cricket, mate. You know, he's doing all the accent, and he finally realized, like, this is a joke. This play was legit until you ruined it. But seeing Fred and Lamont do that accent, it shows the great acting range they have and how they could, because they sound legit. But it is so funny. So that, to me, that whole director one where with Elroy, Sweet Rolls, that whole one of the best performances, I think, in Fred Sanford's history, because you got George Foreman and you got Fred Sanford, and it's just comedy gold the entire time. So those are some of the best. List in the comments below if you're still watching. List in the comments below what are some of your favorite Fred Sanford moments. And finally, we get Fred Sanford did go in the army, right? He did. He actually served for his country. Not in World War I, like he said, when in reality he would have been 11 years old. Would you use a BB gun? Lamont calls him on it. But during World War II, he did. But as Lamont says, you never got past Fort Dix, New Jersey. So don't even try to come there. So he did serve in a scary time. Remember, it's all fictional, but still, Fred Sanford did serve, and he never had to get called into battle action, despite his bayonet wound, he wants to tell the piano mover guy. But I think that's it when it comes to Fred Sanford and his fun facts. We covered a lot. Like I said, it's still unknown about the siblings. Did he have 7? He said that. I always like to go back to the original. Just like how Lamont, they said Lamont's middle name is Lamont, and they never gave him a first name. And then in the original, it was Grady. I like to stick with the original because that's the first time they talk about it. So to me, Fred has 2 sisters and no brother, because he tells the guy, I ain't got no brothers. I got 2 sisters. And we did meet one of them, Frances. So that's it. That's it. Everything, fun facts, lists, anything I might have forgotten. But, I mean, there's so many other things. As we go through the show, I probably will come back to Fred Sanford with another fun facts. Maybe it will be more about what happened in show. Like, hey, fun facts, he actually said, you big dummy, 252 times or something like that. I will get to that, because as we're going through each episode, these are facts I'm counting and building up for one day. So we will get to that again. Keep looking. We'll have today, Friday, Finish That Line Friday. We will have maybe Saturday. I mean, put right now in the comments, would you be interested in watching Saturday night with Sanford? You know, maybe at 6 o'clock, maybe a little easier, earlier. I'd like to get guys like Edwin Brown and Bridget Thomas, different people who want to come in and be part of it. I want us here so we can talk and enjoy and have a great time. But thank you guys. Continue to like, continue to subscribe. Go look at some of the shorts. Some of the shorts I get up, they get missed. Sometimes people don't realize them. But yeah, thank you for everything you guys keep doing. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Peace.